For further legal analysis, we're bringing in criminal defense attorney Mark Geragos. Mark, appreciate you being here. Let's jump into this. Does this weaken the power of lower federal courts to check the executive branch? What does this mean for the separation of powers?
You know, that was a really good, give you kudos for the package, because I think one of the interesting things that you showed was the chart about the number of injunctions and how it actually has been used both ways. I think be careful what you wish for. If this was something that was used, and there's the chart up again, nationwide injunctions, it's used by both parties, and it's kind of a weaponization. And I think that the court took what is kind of a hallmark of the Justice Roberts Court and the Roberts Court. They took an incremental step. They didn't go as far as I think people wanted, or at least the government and the DOJ wanted. But also kudos to your report for talking about what's next. What's next here is that the lawyers who were bringing these actions and asking for nationwide injunctions, because they were limited now, the district courts have a limitation, they're now going to bring class cases, class action cases, which means they will get a representative that has, under the rules, meets the criteria for a nationwide class, and then they will try to get the relief that they're seeking in that way. But this is a classic fight about the power of the judiciary and the executive, which is something we've had the entire history of this country. And so it's fascinating to see it play out, and it'll be fascinating to see if, in fact, the class action kind of where the safety valve goes, if that ends up having to be the next frontier that this battle is done on.
And besides the birthright citizenship issue, what other executive orders that have been blocked by lower courts are up next, could likely be affected here?
I think a lot of the immigration-related orders are going to be challenged in a class-wide basis. You're going to find that this idea of dispensing with due process, if you're going to try to remove somebody from the U.S., you will find class-style litigation that will be brought. You also mentioned, your package also mentioned gender-affirming care and things of that nature. I can see class suits, if not already being filed in the process. I think you will find that same kind of use of the law. And by the way, I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing. Part of the robust workings of a democracy, so to speak, is that when one branch takes an action, you've got a check and balance. I mean, those of us who graduated from 8th grade civics learned that that's the beauty of this system. So for birthright citizenship, for instance, and there was talk, the president invoked I think, harken back to Dred Scott and the time when there was birthright citizenship was suspended in the U.S. But lately, the Supreme Court has adopted analysis that is rooted in history. If they stick with that analysis that's rooted in history, I don't think that birthright citizenship is going to go away absent some kind of a constitutional amendment or repealing.
Okay, I appreciate that analysis. You say you don't believe that this is necessarily a bad thing. We see Justice Jackson writing in a solo dissent that the court's decision was an existential threat to the rule of law. We're seeing the predictions of the massive amounts of lawsuits that are set to be filed in an already clogged system. Explain why this is not a bad thing.
Well, it's an amazing dissent that Justice Jackson wrote in terms of just the kind of parade of horribles, if you will, that she laid out there. I don't think, having done this going into my 5th decade, that normally the sky is falling as dramatically as you would think. This is an incremental step. There were abuses of the nationwide injunctive process. And I think that you will find that there, by the way, ironically, as the class action practice has retracted over the years because of legislative pronouncements. I think you're going to see an expansion now of class actions in policy-related issues, whether it's birthright citizenship, whether it's immigration type orders, or other what are commonly referred to culture war or policy issues. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. The system is designed to be tested and bent, but not broken. And I think the system is remarkable. It's something that you can push and pull and do a lot of things to, but I don't think it's as vulnerable as a lot of people think.
Mark Geragos, appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.